So we're getting started.
Welcome to 12 Days of Law Firm Growth, the show for law firm owners who are serious about growing their business, maximizing profits, and reaching their true potential. And now, let's get started.
So welcome everyone to 12 Days of Law Firm Growth. We are on day 3 of the 12 Days of Law Firm Growth. And if you missed the first day, great news. You can go back and listen or watch the first day and the second day and get caught up. But don't worry about it. This show is not sequential. We're literally just, well, not we, they, my team, went into the vault, went back through the last, 20 plus years of amazing law firm management, marketing, sales, scaling, growth lessons. And they just picked 12 of their favorite, picked 12 of their favorite little clips. And we're going to do 12 days of just giving and sharing and giving with all of you to be in the holiday spirit. So the way this works is we'll introduce ourselves in a little while, because until you know what's in it for you, you don't give a shit who we are. I don't take it personally. Do you take it personally?
No.
We don't take it personally. You need to know what's in it for you. So we'll talk about what's in it for you with this episode. Why don't you just say first of all, who from our team picked the clip for tonight, and what's in it for the law firm owner, for the solo or small law firm owner watching tonight?
Well, today's topic is about the difference between strategy and tactics, which is something it's something we argue about. I mean, we debate each other on a regular basis. So today's clip is for
I'm very clear on the difference between strategy and tactics. Lots of other people are confused. I'm very clear. And by the end of the show, everyone should be very clear on the difference between strategy and tactics, which will make your life not only way more profitable, your law firm, but make your life a lot easier.
Yes. And your team's life, if you are clear on your strategy. It should also be a very entertaining episode, if I do say so myself.
I have not seen this clip.
Nope.
I mean, I probably saw it at some point, but I have no idea which clip they picked. So the way this works is, so you're watching this. If you're the owner of a law firm and you want to make your law firm, you want to increase gross revenue, you want to increase gross profits, you want to increase net operating income, you want to increase the predictability of your cash flow, you want to increase the number of days, weeks, even months at a time that you can be out of the office with emergency access only. And while you're gone, each of the 7 main parts of your law firm keep going and keep growing, so that when you get back, your law firm is at least as good and probably, if you do this right, even better than when you left. My name is R. John Robbins. I'm an attorney. I learned all the same things that you learned in law school about the business of running a law firm, which is nothing. I ended up at the Florida Bar's Law Office Management Assistant Service for 4 years, 1999, 2000, 2001. 1999, yeah. It was 4 years. I got the dates wrong. Anyway, I know I was there for 99 and 2001. Anyway, the point I'm making is I started at the Florida Bar Law Office Management Assistant Service, where it is a documented fact that I had the opportunity to work with thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands, over 9,000 lawyers. We documented that I had the opportunity to work with, to help them with every aspect of starting, marketing, managing, buying, selling, growing, making law firms much, much, much more successful. And long story short, today I am the founder and president of How to Manage a Small Law Firm. And How to Manage a Small Law Firm. In How to Manage a Small Law Firm, we help to manage, we function as the CEO, the COO, the CFO for over 600 of some of the fastest growing, most profitable, most successful law firms that you probably could ever even imagine. The results we get on a regular, consistent basis, literally, like most people, the biggest challenge we have with marketing is people can't even believe that what we do regularly is even possible. And that's why we have usually a waiting list, which we currently have a waiting list. So this isn't like you got to hire us now. We're really just going to share and give and try to help you in every way we can. And when the time is right, we'll do business together. It won't be a problem. Anyway, so that's me. And this is Delisi Friday, here with us on Friday.
Yes.
Delisi is my chief of staff. So we have How to Manage a Small Law Firm. We have 150 employees at How to Manage a Small Law Firm. And then I have my own little Skunkworks team, Arjan Robbins, that we do all kinds of fun little stuff. And Delisi is chief of my staff. And she comes from a pretty amazing background considering what we do. So Delisi, why don't you share your background, and then we will remind everyone what's in it for this clip about strategy versus tactics. And then I have a question for you before we roll the clip, though. But first, tell everyone where you are.
So my name is Delisi Friday. I am the daughter of a small law firm owner. I decided to break my father's heart and not become a lawyer and practice law with him. Instead, I said, Dad, but I love marketing. So I decided to go into marketing for the law firm and legal industry. Most recently, I spent 7 years as the marketing and business development manager for a law firm and helped scale that business from 7 figures to a healthy 8-figure business. And then I joined Arjan Robbins to be his chief of staff, where I have a set of special skills very comparable to Liam Neeson to help him with his enterprise. And so I'm here today.
This is true. All right, so here's my question. I had a couple questions. First, am I blurry? Am I the only one seeing blurry? I look very blurry to myself.
I agree. You look blurry. Your internet packets are getting stuck.
Yeah, a little bit blurry. Do you have a bunch of
Internet
stuff?
packets are getting stuck. Like I'm supposed to know what that means. What am I supposed to do with that information?
Do you have a bunch of screens open on your screen? Or maybe some people from Facebook can let us know. Do you guys see Arjan a little blurry? Put it in the
Well, as long
chat.
as you can hear me, that's okay. Anyway,
Yeah,
you can hear me okay, right?
Yes, I can hear you fine.
All right, well, then that's the important part. All right, so listen. So here are my questions. My first question is, my intro was a little bit longer than I expected it to be, that I planned for it to be. I kind of got on a roll there. So remind everyone what's in it for them. Why should the owner of a small law firm watch this? How will this make their life better? Why do you think? Well, I guess the first question I have really is, who picked the clip?
So obviously, I pictured your clip today as your chief of staff. We talk about strategy and tactics all the time. The reason why I picked this clip is I think this clip is for the lawyers who work with marketing vendors, or any vendor really. It's for the lawyers thinking about doing a second practice area in their firm. It's for the lawyers who post on Facebook or LinkedIn for business, which is where we're at right now. It's for all of those lawyers. And I'm not going to say how it's going to help them, because then it would spoil the clip.
See, I think strategy, I don't know what I haven't seen the clip, so maybe that's exactly what the clip is. But when I think of strategy as really, it's like I just would be so upset if I got to the end of a year and worked my ass off for that year and realized I was working on all the wrong things. And if I could, you can never get that year back, right? You're never going to get the opportunity. You never get these years back. Life is not a dress rehearsal. It's the real thing, right? And this is why we do our strategic calendar every year, and take that seriously. And I would just be so devastated and so upset with myself if I got to the end of a year. And I mean, I meet lawyers who get to the end of a decade and realize that, yeah, you've done a lot of good work. You've helped a lot of people. I'm not saying you haven't made a positive impact on the world, but you haven't done for yourself. and you haven't done for your family. And strategy protects you from that. Tactics are what help you. Having a good tactical plan, it reduces your stress, it reduces your anxiety, it just gives you a better quality of life. I would say strategy prevents you from having regrets about wasting years of your life that you can't get back. And tactics make the process much more enjoyable. And so I'm glad you picked this topic, although I haven't seen the clip. So I guess we're going to see the clip.
Yes, we will. Actually, first, before I show the clip, we have the wonderful song to play and intro what our topic is for today.
And then
on the third day of Christmas, my friends at How to Manage a Small Law Firm taught me the difference between strategy and tactics.
that's kind of low, the volume.
It sounds, I think you guys can put it in the chat if you guys heard the song loud enough and you heard it loud and clear. That is our topic.
We're not going to hear the whole. We're not going to hear the whole song. The first.
We played
night,
at the end. We played it then, so everyone can sing it for the whole rest of the night and not get there. They'll sing it over and over. It's just gonna be stuck in their heads tonight.
Okay, so let's see the thumbnail, and I'll see if I can figure out where and when this. Oh, that one's easy. That was the last live quarterly meeting, the October 2020. That was the October 2023 live quarterly meeting, which was all the title was "What a Long Strange Trip It's Been." It was our 50th live quarterly meeting in a row. We've done 50 live quarterly meetings every quarter. We have 500, 700. I think we got 700 lawyers, law firm owners at the last one. These are all members. This is a members only event. This is not a marketing event. This is not a sales event. This is not an event that we sell you a ticket for $99 and try to lure you over there and sell you some stuff. This is only for existing members. And so we just pack it full of value. And our members come back quarter after quarter after quarter after quarter after quarter after quarter. This is our 50th live quarterly meeting in a row.
I have to tell you, if you didn't know the answer to that, I would be concerned. So,
yeah, that was pretty cool.
But yes, that's exactly where the clip came from.
By the way, I spent the morning with Raul working on the workbook for the January live quarterly meeting.
Uh-huh.
And the workbook is going to be really cool. And the topic, I'm not going to tell you the topic because I don't tell anyone the topic. I'll tell you the topic, but I won't tell you the topic here.
Okay.
It's going to change. It won't change the legal industry right away. But I guarantee you that within 24 months, everyone who even thinks about, talks about law firm management, law firm marketing, anyone in this industry, they're all going to be, this will be what they'll be talking about 18 to 24 months from this coming January.
That is a bold statement. We are going to earmark this clip and then come back to it.
I can predict what everyone will be talking about 12 to 18 months at all times.
All right. Well,
at least for the last 10 years. You see what our live quarterly meeting is, and then 18 to 24 months later, that's pretty much surprise, what everyone's talking about. I'm serious.
This is true. All right. Without further ado, let's play the clip.
What's your theory? What's your theory for who your customers should be? What's your theory for what their preferences are going to be? What's your theory for what you can accomplish with the time, the money, the resources that you have available to you right now, or which you can marshal together from other places in order to deliver what they want. That's strategy. That's what's all over that calendar if you know what to look for. If you don't know what to look for, all you see are tactics and plans. So, he talks a lot about how strategy is uncomfortable. Planning is more comfortable. Planning is where you go to naturally. Everyone goes to planning naturally. Lawyers especially go to planning naturally. It's literally beat into us. Watch this. Never ask a question that. What did we just say strategy was? It's a theory that you don't know if it's even going to be work or not. It's a theory for what your customers will prefer. It's a theory about what your competitors are or aren't going to do. It's a theory about what's going to be going on in the world in 6 months, 12 months, 24 months. It's the exact opposite of never ask a question that you literally spent 3 years, we spent 3 years in law school being taught not to think strategically. You understand this? I know it's not easy. This is hard to do, right? So what's your theory about what you are going to prefer 24 months from now? What's your theory about what you are going to prefer 24 months from now? We ask you this question over and over and over. This is the hardest question in the world to answer. This is the seed from which an 8-figure business, a 9-figure business gets built. If you don't answer this question, you're not working off of any kind of a strategy. You're just putting plans in place and usually recycling tactics that you got from someone else.
All right.
All right. So one of the things I wanted to ask you, when I was listening to that clip, I thought to myself, the trial lawyers who are watching this say, well, I always have a trial strategy. And you talk in the clip about how they don't teach us in law school to think strategically. And then I think about the lawyers who say, but I have a trial strategy. So can you help everyone who's watching kind of reconcile what's the difference and what do you mean by that?
Well, I'm not suggesting that they say in law school, let's beat strategy out of you. It's not like you come in thinking strategically and they unteach you strategy. What I mean is that, okay, let's start off with what is a strategy.
Yeah.
A strategy is a theory. That's what a strategy is, right? What do you, the whole idea of a theory is we don't know the answer. We're not sure, right? In law school, it's beat into us. Don't ask questions you don't know the answer to. This is a big part of the reason why brilliant lawyers have so many problems growing and scaling, which, by the way, growth and scale are not the same thing. Growing and scaling successful businesses. The business happens to be a law firm, but it's a business, right? Entrepreneurs, we have to ask questions we don't know the answer to every single day. You give me 2 lawyers who own identical law firms, and they're both brilliant. You know what? One lawyer is a better lawyer than the other. But the lawyer, and the lawyer who's a better lawyer than the other, he goes to his local bar association and reports honestly and accurately all year long, I only made one mistake. I am so brilliant. I only made one mistake, or I made no mistakes. I'm so brilliant. I made no business mistakes all year long. And let's give him the benefit of the doubt. He's telling the truth. The other lawyer, she goes to that same bar association and she says, oh my God, I made like 90 mistakes last year. Oh my God, I counted them up and it was like 90 mistakes that I made last year. Mistake after mistake after mistake, 90 mistakes. And he's sitting there saying, I made no mistakes, right? And assuming everyone believes them both, the lawyer who made no mistakes, everyone's going to be going up to him, hailing him like a hero and asking him for his advice. How can I be more like you to make no mistakes? And the lawyer who has the courage to acknowledge and admit that she made 90 mistakes, everyone's going to be like, oh, you're so stupid. You're such a loser. How could you have made 90 mistakes? Except I'll put my money on her 10-1 every single day of the week, because what I know is that her law firm is growing faster and is probably way more profitable than his law firm, because the approach to asking questions, the approach to strategy that they teach us in law school, right? Never ask a question you don't know the answer to. Well, if you never ask a question you don't know the answer to, you're never going to make a mistake. If you never try something in business that you don't already know is definitely going to work, well, you're never going to make any mistakes. If you have the courage to ask questions you don't know the answer to, you learn something. If you have the courage to develop a hypothesis, develop a theory, and then test that theory with action, not a bunch of fucking excuses and bullshit, but action. You develop a theory, you test the theory with action, you make a mistake, you revise the theory, you pivot, you adjust, you test the new theory, you pivot, you adjust. That lawyer who made 90 mistakes probably got 10 things right. That lawyer who made no mistakes, he probably only got one thing right because he only tried one fucking thing all year long. And oh, by the way, if the one thing he's got the balls to try all year long doesn't work, he's fucked. Her, who's got the courage, the entrepreneurial maturity, the tenacity to try things, try 100 things, get 90 of them wrong, get 10 of them right. She gets one thing wrong. You pivot, you move on. You pivot, you move on. You pivot, you move on. And those 10 things she's going to get right, I guarantee you, they weren't the 10 things she probably thought were going to be the best things to do. The 10 things were probably like just random things. She was just trying different things. Look, I try things all the time. I fail. I keep trying. Then again, my business is going to gross $30 million this year. Let me tell you, I made at least $1 million worth of mistakes this year. When my business was grossing only $1 million, I made like $100,000 worth of mistakes. When my business was grossing only $100,000, I was making $10, $20, $30, even $50,000 worth of mistakes. You got to be willing to make mistakes. Back to strategy tactics. Strategy is a theory. It's a theory of what you think someone will prefer. A marketing strategy is a theory about what you think your target audience, your ideal avatar will prefer. My theory is that they will prefer this message over all the other messages that I could put out there. I test a theory by developing a tactical plan and it works, my strategy was a good one. If it doesn't work, I can change my strategy and then develop a new set of tactics, or maybe use the same tactics to test the theory to put a different message in front of them. Is it working? Then I test another theory. A sales strategy is a strategy about what you think your potential clients will prefer more than any other option available to them, including the option to walk out your door and do nothing. A staffing strategy is a theory about what you think your employees will prefer more than anything else that you could possibly offer them. I think they will prefer this more than anything, and that will cause them to give me the greatest ROI. A financial strategy is a theory about what you, the owner, will prefer more than anything else you could do. Would I prefer to maximize my short-term profits or maximize my long-term profits? Would I prefer to maximize my gross revenue or maximize my net operating income? Would I prefer to focus the next 12 months growing my top line gross revenue, or would I prefer to leave my top line gross revenue, kind of where it is, and focus on improving my my gross profit margin? Would I mean, there's all different choices on the spectrum of financial choices that you can make, all different options. And you develop a strategy by saying, of all the different options available to me, this is the one that I think I'll prefer the most. And now I'm going to develop a tactical plan to put that theory to the test. That is strategy. And the thing that's so heartbreaking is when you see the owner of a law firm who doesn't develop a strategy. They just jump right to tactics. They work tactics, but they didn't bother to start off with a theory about what they thought they would prefer. And then they just get a bunch of random results, which maybe they're happy with, maybe they're not happy with. And the worst thing is they don't even know now how to pivot and adjust because they didn't have a plan in the first place.
Okay. There's like so much I want to say after that. First of all, this is scary for anyone who is a perfectionist. It is no secret to you that that is my biggest flaw. It is scary to fail. Sometimes it's very hard to fail. And that's something that I've learned a lot from you. I think
It's scary to fail?
That it is scary to fail. Yeah.
You
But
learned
you
that
know
from me?
what?
How do you
Yeah.
learn that from me? I try to teach you the exact opposite of that.
Okay. Last year, remember this time last year, I failed in front of a room full of 50 lawyers, and then I had to pivot and pivot and pivot and pivot. And you know what? That was scary as all get out.
So
But
what you were supposed to learn from me is that it's not that big a deal.
I did. That was
So it's less scary.
it was scary in the moment. And then
But you didn't
after
learn
the
that it was
moment,
scary from me. You learned that you can survive it and move on. That's what you were supposed to
yes,
learn from me.
that's what I learned. I learned it was scary in the moment. I survived. I have the skills to survive. And I
Wait. Are you
still
saying that
thrive.
you had never failed before you started working with me?
No, I failed a few times at things that I did, but here's the thing. I realized when I was in my last role and you played this clip and you taught me the difference between strategy and tactics, I realize now I am someone who thinks about the tactics all the time. It's why I'm of value to you, because you think about the strategy and I think about the tactics. And in hindsight, I realized at my last firm, I was always thinking about the tactics. But until we have the strategy and we talk about the strategy, I don't know if my tactics are really accomplishing the goal that we have, the objective we have with our strategy. And so I wish I had learned this lesson and applied it in all of our quarterly leadership meetings and our annual leadership meeting where we plan for the year. What do we want to do in our firm? How do we want to grow it? How do we want to scale it? I wish I had known that then. All that to say, this is scary. And I just want to point out it's
can I
scary.
change the subject for a minute?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Forget about the clip. Forget about this topic. This is more
Mhm.
important. And I don't even give a shit about the fact that we're doing a show. This is more important than the show. This is more important than the audience. This is the most important thing we're having a conversation about right now. Okay.
Okay.
There's no such thing as failure.
This is where I get caught up on failure, and you say failure is opportunity gift wrapped or something like that.
No,
What do you
there's
say?
no such thing as failure.
Okay.
You're
Why?
thinking about problems and opportunities.
I'm
I'm
thinking about
saying
problems.
failure. There's no such thing as failure.
I don't understand that. Tell me what you mean.
Is Camila within earshot?
No, she's in the bedroom, so I don't have
Well,
background
there's no
sound,
such thing as Santa Claus.
right?
The reason I have to check is because I was at a live quarterly meeting years ago, and there's like 500 people in the room, and I was on stage making a point, and I was like, "There is no Santa Claus, and the tooth fairy is your mom." And someone's like goes fucking crazy off in the corner. I can't even see the corner. And apparently, that is where a little girl learned that the tooth fairy was her mom, and there's no such thing as Santa Claus from me on stage. Yeah. I was
So
talking to
that
Ty.
wasn't a failure?
Huh?
That wasn't a failure?
No, that was a
Okay.
mistake.
It was a learning opportunity?
All right, so so look, there is no such thing as failure. Let me rephrase that. There needn't be such thing as failure. You can decide to live a life without failure. You literally can choose to live a life without failure. I have chosen to live a life. There is no failure in my life.
How do you do that?
Because everything's a test. This is the thing that upsets you the most about working with me, just so you know.
I know.
Everything in my life is a test. Everything's a test. I never fail because I'm just testing things.
Oh, you're testing me.
I test people too. Yeah. I'm just testing things. I'm literally just go through life testing things. And if it doesn't work the way that I thought it was going to work, I have a theory about how I think it's going to work. I execute, I test it. I find out the theory was right or not. I learn something. And then I try to make a better theory. So there's no such thing as failure. There's only testing things. Literally everything is a test. Every marketing campaign is a test. Every sales meeting is a test. Every new employee that you hire is a test. Every new policy you implement is a test. Every new procedure that you implement is a test. Every piece of technology that you bring into the office to try out to see if it's going to work or not is a test. This podcast is a test. The book, Profit First for Lawyers, it is an ongoing test. This next book that I have the manuscript for, that'll be a test.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes a lot more sense. Thank you
Everything's a
for
test.
giving the examples, because the examples help me think that through. As someone who spent years marketing for law firms, you have to learn to test something, look at the results, and then figure out how to pivot to make your marketing campaign better. So that example helped me kind of put it. But you're right, with employees too. I mean, the first 90 days is a test. Is this going to work or not? So that
I would say
that
the
makes
first
sense.
90. I would say the first 90 years is a test.
True.
Everything is a test. Every morning that you wake up, you have to decide to test your theory about working with me. And every morning that I wake up, I have to test my theory about continuing to work with you. I have a theory that I will have a better life if I continue working with Delisi. Well, I'm going to put that theory to the test by continuing to work with you. there is a certain someone who we won't name who's a fucking lunatic who you and I both woke up one day and said, I have a theory that my life would be better if we never spoke to this lunatic again for the rest of our lives. And we put the theory to the test by terminating said lunatic. And I would say that our theory has proven correct.
And was verified on Glassdoor.
It was verified the very day that she left and was reconfirmed repeatedly through a series of hilarious texts. I just realized she's probably going to see this. This will probably jumpstart a whole new string of texts from her and her husband telling me what an asshole I am. But the point I'm making is every morning I wake up and I have a theory about what I think will make my life better. And I have tactics that I have figured out that I use to put that theory to the test. Right?
Yeah.
Every morning I wake up and I say, I have a theory that my life will, I'm not saying I like sit there consciously doing this, right? I don't want people to think I'm like a crazy person, but I'm conceptually, right?
Yeah.
I wake up and I have a theory that my life will be better if I stay married to Allie. Well, there's only one way to find out, right?
Yeah.
I got to stay married to Allie. And every day that I'm happier than I was the day before, I prove my theory correct. Right?
Ooh, and your tactics are when you and I do your strategic calendar and Allie is a boulder. We'll talk about strategic calendaring next week, but you have tactics where we say we're going to carve out the time to make sure your strategy is successful and you stay married to Allie.
No, see, this is the problem. You just said make sure the strategy is successful.
This
is
I
the big
didn't
problem
say
that people have. People, this is the big problem that lots of lawyers have, right? They get their ego involved, and now it's not a question of testing their strategy. Now they want to prove their strategy. Everything's a test. I'm willing to be wrong.
Okay, that makes sense.
I'm not trying to prove the strategy. I'm trying to test the strategy. The only way to test the strategy is to execute on the tactical plan that achieves the outcome that the strategy has chosen. I have a theory that I would prefer to live in the part of town that I'm moving to more than I think I would I have a theory. I'm not going to say the place because I don't want people fucking showing up at my house. But you know where I live now?
Yes.
We'll say right now I live on a beautiful golf course. And I'll be moving to an area that is a little bit more urban. Fair to say?
Yeah, it is.
And Allie and I have a theory that we will be more happy living in the more urban area than we would be if we continued living in the golf course area. Well, we can think about it. We can talk about it. We can debate it. We can analyze it. We can research it. We can investigate it. We can theorize about it. We can consult with everyone we can think of about it. But there's only one way to find out if the theory is correct or not. You know what that is?
You've got to test it.
You got to move.
Yeah.
I got to live there.
Yeah.
Now, there's different strategies that we can choose from. There's different ways that we can test that theory, which now says there's a range of strategies to choose from. Right? One, we could rent a house in the urban area. Two, we can buy a house in the urban area. Three, we could stay in a hotel room in the urban area. 4, we could get an Airbnb in the urban area.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Well, now we start talking about we got to refine this theory. We got to refine the theory, right? Because our theory is that we will be more happy living permanently in that urban area. Well, that means we can't just rent a hotel room for a week. That means we can't just get an Airbnb for a month. So to live permanently in the urban area, we could rent a house for a year, or we could buy a house. And both would test the theory, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
So we go back to look back at the theory and let's refine the theory some more. We think our theory is that we will be more happy living in this particular neighborhood of that urban area. Okay. Are there any houses for rent in that neighborhood? There are not. There's only houses for sale. Okay. Well, the only way to test the theory that we will be more happy living in that particular enclave of that urban area is therefore to buy that house.
Mhm.
So we've now refined the theory, which means we've chosen our strategy, and now the rest is developing a tactical plan. Well, tactical plan number 1, we call the realtor. Tactical plan number 2, or first part of the tactical plan, call the realtor. Second part of the tactical plan, see the properties. Third part of the tactical plan, make an offer. Fourth part of the tactical plan, get all the inspections done. Fifth part of the tactical plan, close on the house. Sixth part of the tactical plan, move. Seventh part of the tactical plan, live there for long enough to find out if the theory was right.
Yeah.
And you know what? If we get there and we are not more happy living there than we are living in the golf course community, was it a failure or did we just learn something?
It was a test and you learn from it.
And I will then go back to my laboratory and come up with a new theory and say, my new theory is that I think I'd be happier living maybe back in the golf course community, and I'll just move back to the golf course community.
I like it. I like it. So
I don't care about the podcast. I don't care about the audience. I care about you and understanding this sincerely. This is the key to my psyche. Everything is a test.
I hear you.
I'm just testing and testing and testing and testing and testing and testing. And here's the thing. In 2007, I was broke. I mean, like hardcore flat broke, right? And I'm not going to say this in front of the podcast, but you know how I live, right? I mean, it's a far cry from where I was.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the things that I thought were going to work, let's just say a very big percentage of my very best ideas didn't work. Some of the things that worked the best, by the way, including the one thing that you know about from the frickin' snowstorm that, I mean, you know how much money that made. I mean, like,
Yeah.
a lot, right?
I'm very proud of it. Yes.
That was the worst fucking idea. That was a pretty dumb idea. That was a pretty...
Your first attempt at learning, Dean. Yes.
That idea was not like the greatest idea. I mean,
No, it
you've
was
heard
not.
much better ideas from me than that. But here's what I did. I did the analysis and I said, okay, the upside potential is gigantic if it works. The downside potential is very small if it doesn't work. Let's put it to the test. Next thing you know, you and me are landing in a snowstorm in Grand Rapids, Michigan with 60 lawyers and our team, and we're putting something to the test. And had it not worked, Yeah, we had a strategy. We put it to the test. It didn't work. No harm, no foul. Lose, $50,000, $60,000. It's okay. Because the upside potential was so great. It worked, and everyone thinks I'm a genius. But you know what? I got dozens of better ideas than that didn't work. Maybe they didn't work because it was a bad tactic. Maybe didn't work because I was mistaken on the timing. But if I only did the things that I thought were the best ideas, and I put all my time and all my energy and all my focus into these ideas that are the best ideas, first of all, I wouldn't be able to afford you right now. I wouldn't afford your team. I mean, you submitted a budget for almost $2 million for just my team for next year.
Yeah.
Where do you think that comes from? A whole bunch of bad ideas that I tested that worked. And it comes from a long line of amazing ideas that I tested that I still have ideas that I think are freaking brilliant that I can't figure out how to get them to work.
Okay, well, we'll talk about those ideas later.
No, I'm going to talk about one of them right now.
What?
I had an idea.
Okay.
You know what a poker run is?
Is it like in the fireplace?
No, that's a fire poker.
We won't go there. We won't talk about the fire poker. Okay.
The fire poker is one of the only events.
No, we'll talk about whatever poker you're talking about.
You know what a poker run is? Do you know what a poker run is?
No.
Okay. A poker run is where you get, typically it's like sports cars or motorcycles or bicycles or boats, or it's usually some sort of thing like that. And the idea is it's a series of it's a race. It's a race from one part of the country to another part of the country, or one part of town to another part of town, right? With a series of stops along the way. And the thing is that, so let's say it's 10 legs, but because you might have a very fast car or boat or airplane or motorcycle or whatever, and I might have a slower one, you predict how long it will take you to get from the first, how long do you think this leg will take you? And you predict, I'm going to make this in an hour. And of course, my boat is much slower than your boat. And I say, I'm going to make this in an hour and a half, right? And if I get there in an hour and a half and you get there in an hour and 5 minutes, I beat you on that leg because my prediction was more accurate.
Mm-hmm.
It's a race of accuracy. You get what I'm saying? But the thing that makes it a poker run is that at each stop, they typically drink, party. It's like basically a big party. You understand what a poker run is now?
I do. I will not respectfully get on your boat because I get seasick. So that's why I would not know what that thing is.
No, but poker runs are cars, motorcycles, airplanes, boats. Anyway, the point I'm getting at is I built a whole program with Stephanie years ago. And it was a boating, poker run, law firm growth thing. And the idea is that we would all get on our boats and race. But then at each stop, what we would do, instead of drinking and partying and cavorting, like what happens at a poker run, at each stop, we would solve a different person's strategic business problem or solve a different marketing problem.
Okay, it's like a twist on boat days. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Great idea, right?
For people who like boats, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's a few of them. There's a few of us. Anyway, I couldn't sell that thing. I only sold like 3 spots. We needed like 20 spots to make it work. I could not figure out a way to sell it. The point I'm trying to make is I've had some really great ideas that didn't work. And I've had some not so exciting ideas that were like runaway hits that have like created this business and this life that I have. Everything's a test. Speaking of tests, Let's do a test right now.
Okay.
Let's test how many people watching this will go to howtomanageasmalllawfirm.com/12 days and download a business plan workbook that they can do for free that can help them figure out their strategy and their tactics and help them build a much, much, much more successful law firm next year.
Yes, I love that. For
I
a
have a
brief
theory.
second, I thought you were going to say, who wants to do this boat poker run in the comments just to test your theory? I
Well, I have a
like this
different
better. I like this better.
Okay, so I have a theory. I have a theory that the most successful law firm owners will probably download the business plan just to see how they can make their business plan even a little bit better.
Mhm.
And I have a theory that a whole bunch of struggling law firm owners will make a whole bunch of excuses for why they're not going to download the business plan. Or if they download it, they'll never do anything with it. And they'll wake up a year from now and they'll come to 12 days of law firm growth again next year. And they'll say, well, here's why I didn't do anything. And they'll have just a bunch of excuses and they
Yeah.
won't get results. And they'll wonder why they're not getting results. And the reason they're not going to get results is because they'd rather have excuses than results. Fuck you, Arjan. You don't understand any of my problems. Yeah, I do.
So, speaking of problems, we do have a couple of questions I want to make
Oh,
sure I get to for everyone who's watching.
I
Uh,
can't see any. I
it's
can't see
okay.
the questions, so I'm
It's
just
okay.
talking.
I'll talk them out with you. So the first one is, how do I choose the right tactics to support my marketing strategy? I have vendors in my ear, but how do I know what's best?
So the answer to that question, I mean, it's obviously a very, very. I can't answer that question with the information that's provided. If I could talk to this person, I could probably ask a few follow-up questions, clarify some things, and get a much better answer. So, but I do want to deliver value here. So I will just give you this. I will tell you this. The Do not spend $1 on marketing unless the dollar can be tracked
Mm,
to ROI. So when the marketing vendor says, I want to spend all this money, blah, 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 you will say, great. How are we going to track the ROI on this ad spend? And if they start telling you things like likes and impressions and reach and brand building and all that happy horse shit, you got the wrong marketing vendor who's talking shit to you. ROI, 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 return on investment, ROI. It must be trackable. It must be measurable. It must actually get measured. And your marketing vendor ought to be chasing you and excitedly showing you the reports, because they should be showing you, like, look at all this great ROI we're getting for you. If your marketing vendor is not enthusiastic about trying to show off the reports to you with dollar ROIs, then chances are they are not getting a good ROI and they're trying to hide that from you.
I would love to piggyback on this for a second. So, because
Please.
I did marketing in my last firm, I will tell you it is extremely important to have tracking for everything that you're spending. I would grow my marketing budget because I could share with data and with numbers which of my marketing tactics was working because I tracked all of it. So I would look at where I was spending my money. I would look at where the cases were coming from and how that tied to what I was doing in my marketing. And then I could, with facts, with data, with actual information, say, you know what? I'm going to take away the marketing I'm spending on apples because bananas is really crushing it. and I could make very purposeful decisions with how I was spending my marketing dollars because I knew bananas is where it's at, because bananas is just killing it. And everyone should be doing that, because in marketing, you test and test and test, just like you were saying, Arjan. But it's a lot more beneficial and profitable for you if you're spending that money and you're tracking it. And then you can decide, okay, if bananas is crushing it, I need to take away marketing dollars from apples and put more money in bananas. And what do you know? That's how I kept growing my marketing spend and growing the business, because I would look at that information and make very purposeful decisions that impacted the tremendous growth at my last firm. I had a very healthy 6-figure marketing budget, and I grew it from a very small number because I tracked everything. And if you're going to put your money into marketing, you should be tracking everything. It's your money. You should know what's successful and not.
And your marketing vendors should be excited about this. Your marketing vendors should be thrilled that you want to track ROI. If your marketing vendors are not really happy and enthusiastic about helping you track ROI, chances are they're trying to hide something. I guarantee you, your marketing vendors are tracking ROI on their own marketing.
Mm-hmm.
If your marketing vendors, this is what you do. You're interviewing a marketing vendor. You say, tell me what metrics you track on your own advertising and marketing spend. All right. Now, if they tell you, well, we don't have to spend anything on marketing because we're so great, we get everything by referral, you know they're lying to you.
Yeah.
That is definitely a lie. That's not true. And they say, well, this is what we track. This is what we track for our own marketing. How much do you ask your marketing vendor? It's a perfectly reasonable question to ask a marketing vendor. How much do you spend on marketing every year for your own business? How much did your business grow? What is your average cost to acquire a client? How much has that number grown or shrank over the past 24 months? What metrics do you track on your marketing spend? If they can't answer these questions, then your marketing vendor doesn't know anything, and you shouldn't do business with them. If they won't answer these questions, well, I mean, if you choose to do business with a marketing vendor who won't answer those kinds of questions, to me, that's a giant red flag, really giant red flag. And if they give you a bunch of metrics that doesn't include dollars spent and dollars back, then your marketing vendor is either lying to you or they're an idiot.
I would also add to that, you can also inevitably have a conversation with the marketing vendor and your leadership team to decide, okay, how much am I spending on this marketing vendor and what do I get out of it? And then determine, does it make more sense for me to hire my own internal marketing team? Because then I can maximize the amount of money I'm spending in marketing. And that's where I was at in my last firm. I said, hey, I can actually, I've looked at what we spend. I looked at what they've done, and I've looked at how much it would cost for us to hire internally. And we can save $200,000 if we fire a vendor and we do it all internally. And you don't know that unless you're tracking it and you're looking at that information and making profitable decisions like that.
We could do a whole show.
You know what? We're talking about marketing next week. I won't be the guest, but man, it gets me all riled up.
Well, okay. We could do a whole podcast on this. Like the entire podcast could just be this.
Is this a test? No.
We could test it. We could test a podcast. I mean, would anyone in the audience be interested in us doing a podcast that's nothing but law firm marketing vendors and how to pick vendors and how to manage vendors and how to maximize the ROI on vendors and best marketing ideas? By the way, we don't sell marketing services, so we wouldn't have anything really to sell on that podcast.
Well, I mean, we do sell fractional CMO services. So if someone wants fractional CMO services, we could help them with that.
Yeah, but we have a waiting list for that. So we're not like trying to sell it.
Yeah, true. Okay. I want to make sure we answer our next question because we still have a few more.
Oh, okay.
Jennifer, can you put the next question up on the screen? All right. Why does my brain always revert back to tactics when I'm trying to think strategically?
Because you don't eat enough fish oil. I don't fucking know how your brain works. What's my supposed
You're doing really
Oh,
well.
my brain. I don't know. Look, in all sincerity,
While you think, can I chime in here? Because
yeah, I'm trying to remember because I remember talking about this on stage at the last live quarterly meeting, and maybe you can find that clip because I literally addressed this exact issue.
you mentioned how it's very difficult. It's very
Yeah, but I'm
difficult.
trying to explain. Okay, so look,
Yeah.
there's strategy. You were going to chime in. You chime in first.
I was going to say this is a challenge that I have because, surprise, you are a visionary. I am an integrator. We need each other. And you come up with the strategy, and I come up with the tactics. And sometimes it can be a challenge for me to think strategy and then think tactics because I am a tactical person. So
All right.
that's my
Here's-
response.
I have a very different response.
Ooh, okay.
And by the way, you do think strategically. That's why I recruited you, because I saw the strategic thinking. Let's compare strategic thinking. Let's compare making a strategy, developing tactics, executing tactics. 3 different
Okay.
things. All right?
Mhm.
Which is the most scary, do you think? Deciding on the strategy, figuring out the tactics, or executing the tactics?
Most scary would be executing, in my opinion.
Okay.
What
We
would you
can
say?
discuss whether that's first scary or second scary or third scary. What would you say is the second most scary? Deciding the strategy, developing the tactics, or executing on the tactics? What's the second most scary?
Second scary to me would be deciding the strategy.
Okay, I think that the scary part, the most scary thing for most people is deciding on the strategy. Because deciding on the strategy requires you to commit to a goal, which, as you said, we're going to put to the test, and it's either going to be right or it's going to be wrong. Are you following what I'm saying?
I do.
All right. I think the second most scary is executing on the tactics, because you're either going to get them done or you're not going to get them done. They're either going to work or they're not going to work. They're either going to be done the way they were supposed to get done, or they're not. There's a lot more. There's ultimate accountability on the strategy. There's extreme accountability on the execution of the tactics. Yeah?
Yeah.
You can fuck around talking tactics all day long for years and years and years and years and years, and most people do. They just go round and round and round and round and round on planning and planning and planning and planning and planning and planning and planning. Tactics. Let's talk tactics. What if we did this? What if we did that? What if we try this? What if we try that? What if we try this way? What if we try that way? What if we buy this piece of equipment? What if we buy that piece of tactics? No one has to fucking do anything. They love it. People love hiding out in tactic planning meetings. Strategies where you say,
true.
I'm done thinking, I'm done analyzing, I'm done evaluating, I'm ready to put down my money and place my bet. I'm going to go after this outcome, and we're going to find out if I'm right or wrong, and let's put it to the test. It's scary.
Yeah.
Executing on the tactics. I gotta do this. I have to get it done. It's either going to get done or it's not going to get done. It's either going to get done the right way or it's not going to get done the right way. Right?
Yes.
that middle part is fucking where fucking losers go to hide out. There's, oh my God, I cannot tell you how many masterminds are out there with people who they get together and all they want to do is these fucking tactical. The audience doesn't know me well enough to.
I won't even get you started.
What they do in a circle at those masterminds where they talk about tactics all day long. I mean, tactics are important. I'm really good at figuring out tactics. I'm really good at strategy. I'm really good at figuring out tactics. I'm not amazing at executing on the tactics. I don't love executing on the tactics. I have executed on tactics. I executed on all my tactics until I got up to about $5 or $10 million in revenue. And then I hired people to execute on my tactics for me because I don't love that. That's not what I'm great at. But, man, sitting around thinking tactics, it's like, let's go shopping with someone else's money. I'm serious.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. You ready to let everyone know what we're going to be talking about on? Okay. Jennifer.
I'm so excited.
Let's show the song and let everyone know what we're going to be talking about with Carly.
And is there some place?
On the 4th day of Christmas, my friends at How to Manage a Small Law Firm taught me how to set better goals so I don't waste time next year grasping at straws.
So Carly, who actually sings this song, will be with you on, and that's the topic.
Carly is, if you need to get more, you should tell everyone they should go to Profit First for Lawyers podcast.
Mhm.
Profit First for Lawyers podcast is an amazing podcast that my amazing team launched without me even knowing. We were 5 episodes into the podcast before I even knew I had a podcast.
And we all got to keep our jobs.
And got bonuses.
Yeah, we did.
One particularly.
Oh, that's true. That's an episode. You know what? For everyone who's watching live and who's watching the recording later, we will put that in the comments so you guys can go to the podcast and then also watch the episode where we talk all about how our team got rewarded when we did a podcast that Arjan did not know anything about. And it's doing very well. You guys should all go listen to it. It's a great podcast. All right. Thank you, Arjan.
On the 4th day of Christmas, my friends at How to Manage a Small Law Firm taught me how to set better goals so I don't waste time next year grasping at straws. The difference between strategy and tactics, how to defend my standards, and a practical working definition of whether my law firm is successful or not.